Cheers.
Bye.
Johnny's gone now, and I'm looking forward to speaking to our next guest, and that's Bronagh Gallagher. She's a fantastic singer, actress, and she's going to follow in the footsteps. But I have to go to Dublin to see Bronagh. That's where she is. So let's see, can we get Bronagh? Hello, Bronagh. Oh.
Hi, Jerry. Yes, I'm down in Dublin. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you. We're trying to keep fit and stay safe in this difficult times.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you were telling me, that you're down in Dublin. But I always wanted to know, how did you actually get into becoming an actress stroke singer?
Well, I was at school in Craigan in Derry, and a young director came to the city, Michael Winterbottom, and he was looking to meet young actors from Derry or Donegal to act in his first TV show called The Strangers, which was about kids from the city meeting kids from the country on a sort of school trip, and basically the clash of different, upbringings and just rivalry between the two gangs. So this was Michael's first job at a film school, and it ended up being my first job that I got. So I was 16, 17, and we shot it in Donegal over the summer, and it was for Channel 4. And I went back to school. I was doing the O-levels, GCSEs at St Mary's at the time. And then from that, I ended up going to Dublin about 2 or 3 months later, getting an agent there. And then I got a part in a film about the Guildford Four, a film called Dear Sarah.
Yes.
Frank Satanovich, God of mercy, he's no longer with the director, with Stella McCusker, and we played the Maguire children, and Barry McGovern played Giuseppe Conlon, and we shot that, and then from that the Hubbards knew who it was, and then from that then I ended up meeting Alan Parker for the Commitments. So then by the following year I was in the Commitments, and then sort of things started to change after that. I got American representation and British representation, and I was very lucky, Jerry. Just things at the time were very buoyant, and there was plenty of work coming in, so I was kept going. I never went back to school, really. I mean, I don't know how often.
Why would you want to go back to school?
I never went back anyway, So yeah, I was very lucky at the time. I was one of the very few people that wanted to do it at the time, or sort of believed that it was a possibility. That was 1988, 89 in Derry. So obviously being an actor wasn't really realistic. And my parents were then and still are, very down the earth, very grounded people. And I think they didn't want to see me being disappointed, But I was just very lucky, Jerry, and got a very lucky break, very young.
Right, but I want to go back to the Commitments, because I mean that's one of the favourite movies of mine for forever. The music is fantastic, and just the way it was set up. I mean, how did you get that camaraderie between you, with the girls and the boys? I mean, it was just a fantastic movie. Everybody still talks about it, and it's like what, 30 odd years, 40 years old. Great.
It's 30 years this year. 30 years we shot it.
Wow.
Shot in 1990, and it came out in 91 now. I mean, I'm glad to say this, that finally in the BAFTAs now in England, they've created a category for casting. And one of the great, the great triumphs of great films is the precision of casting. So the Hubbards, again, who, are legendary in their work as regards to work they've cast, they were very, very specific on Parker's direction, who they were bringing in to meet him for the parts. So when they went to first cast this movie, the Hubbards, Roz and John Hubbard, for people that don't know who they are, and they're basically bringing actors together for the director to see, to put into the film. They were bringing, quite naturally, trained actors into the audition rooms.
Yes.
And very well-known theatre actors and stuff from Dublin. And these people had a very specific style. They would have spoken a very specific kind of accent. But Parker basically went, I don't want trained actors. I want real kids from the streets. I want people that can sing, young kids that are ambitious, that want to play rock and roll, want to play soul or punk, whatever was, their bag at the time. So luckily for me, and obviously being the only non-dub that was in the film, when Parker sort of started to filter through the cast that they were bringing in, he said, "No, bring on the feral, bring in the feral kids." So they literally had a national casting opened up. So they brought in rockers, musicians, punks, classical actors, i.e. Johnny Murphy, who played Joey the Lips.
Yes.
Johnny was the only real professional. And I was, 18 at that stage with 2 films under my belt. And the rest of the cast, bar Maria Doyle and Angeline and Glenn, they were all unknown. Glenn had a wee bit of notoriety at the time with the Frames. Maria was a well-known soul and rock and roll singer with the Black Velvet Band, and Angeline was heavily established here in musical theatre in Dublin and in the sort of cabaret world. So most of us were completely unknown.
What about Andrew Strong? I mean, where did he come from? What a voice!
Andrew, I'll tell you how Andrew got involved. Andrew was his daddy's roadie, and Rob Strong, who's obviously a very respected, highly acclaimed soul and show band singer. Rob Strong, the Platterman, way before my time now, Jerry.
And mine.
I'm going to spring summer in 25. Basically, Andrew was helping his daddy during the whole loading and unloading out, because the auditions for the commitments, all the singers that were coming in the auditions, so we all sang live. Andrew was loading in the gear because his daddy was singing basically the suggested songs for David Wimbury and Alan Parker, the producer and the director, to basically make what we would call now a playlist of songs that would be potential soundtrack songs.
Yes.
But his voice went, it was a heat wave. It was 1990 and there was a heat wave that summer. And Rob Strong's voice went. So they brought the son in. They said, "Look, there's 3 or 4 more songs. Get your son in and let him finish it off. Do we get these people home?" So Andrew came in. I was playing pool with him in the rehearsal room in the factory. Honest to God, I was playing pool with him in the factory in Barrow Street, which is no longer there, which is where all the rock and roll bands used to rehearse. And I remember, God bless him, he was a big, as they say, a big old unit of a young fella.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. He was 16. I was 17, 18. He was a Wayne, and he was brought in. And I remember he said, "Oh, I have to go in here and sing for me dad. My dad's after doing this." So I said, "We'll be back in a minute." I was talking about music, whatever, and off it goes. And I just remember this thunder coming through the walls of this voice. And it was in that second that the entire, the entire drill for the cast of that part deco went out the window, because that part was written for a guy that was a George Michael lookalike.
Right.
He was meant to be a real good looker bloke, fancied himself.
Right.
And obviously Andrew was a very particular look. And his character was a George Michael kind of look. But he just flipped the whole coin, and they went, "There's the voice," and that was it.
Unbelievable. That's incredible. Now, I didn't know that. I was sure a lot of people listening wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable story, I have to say. But
he was the voice, and I mean, he's an incredible singer.
Well, here, that's fantastic. You didn't even mention the chorus. Do you know the chorus? Now, they obviously, Andrea was had a part in that. Do you remember that?
They're gorgeous, yes. And Andrea was playing a small part as a sister.
That's right.
In the as the Sharon Rabbit, wasn't it?
Yes.
Jimmy Rabbit's daughter, Jimmy Rabbit's sister, and then the Hubbards, Roz and John again. They made a suggestion, because they're all such beautiful looking girls, and they were all really talented musicians in their own right. The Sharon and Caroline had wee tiny parts throughout it, and Jim, and then from that, John Hughes, who was kind of managing us when we did the premieres in America and stuff, he basically put them together as a band, and the rest was history. It was a phenomenally successful band.
That's another great story as well, and it just shows you how an opportunity can pop up. And I mean, similar things like that happened to me. I mean, things like that have happened to me in football 100%. Loads of times. But I have to go back to it now. Your sporting interest, and you were chatting to me before about you're not much on the football side of it, but you do have stories about your days back in Derry and Brandywell.
I love football. I love, obviously, like everybody, a wee bit of a part-time, hooligan when it comes to the World Cup, and you see fantastic players, and obviously over the years, God bless, we've had George Best, but we as kids, it was all about Pelé and it was all about, yourself and Maradona, all the greats.
Hold on, you don't mention my name in the same breath as Maradona. I wasn't a Maradona.
You're our Maradona.
Did you mean Madonna? Madonna.
Growing up in Derry, I grew up, our house in the Lone Mare Road, we looked right into Celtic Park.
Yes.
But obviously during the Troubles, all that went obviously, it was all shut down, but the Brandywell was obviously just down the road. So, it was such an amazing thing for the men and the women, on a Sunday that was the one thing that it was a salvage for people during the Troubles at the Brandywell, the games were, they could when they could, they kept going. I just remember it being obviously like football, without any messing about, it can be such a heart of a city, and obviously a city like Derry, it didn't keep people together. But I remember just as a child that Felix Healy recorded, we built this city on Brandywell and we all boarded on 45. That was a big hit. And also, when Owen de Gama moved into our street, when Derry City started to do really well, and Owen de Gama was, he gave the men in the city, the football team, a big lift, but he also gave the women in Derry a big lift because he was really good looking.
He was a pin-up boy.
all the women were down about him, He was the first beautiful black man to move in Derry neighbourhood, and he was a really nice guy. God, he lived a few doors up from us, but he was a sight for the eyes.
Yeah. Look, a lot of people don't know about your career, to be honest now, Bronagh, but I have to say to you, how did you end up getting into Pulp Fiction? John Travolta, Quentin Tarantino, that's unbelievable.
I know, sort of similar to, the commitment situation, and like yourself a lot of the time, you're in the right place at the right time, and people see you and they meet you, and the Tarantino thing came off from myself and Maria and Angeline went to LA. Angeline got a part in My Girl 2, the movie My Girl 2.
Yes.
So the three of us went out there just to stay in the big swanky hotel there in Marina del Rey,
Very good.
And the casting opened up for Pulp Fiction, and I had seen the Reservoir Dogs the year before in London, and I just thought it was an extraordinary, film.
Yes.
And I went to meet Quentin. I went to meet the casting agent first again, Robin Gurland, and from that they sent me to New York. I was going to New York anyway, myself the following week, and I just ended up meeting Quentin, and he kept bringing me back for different parts, and mainly for the part that Rosanna Arquette did. But he ended up, scribbling up more lines on that part that was there. That character I played was sort of just like a drug addict in the corner or whatever, and he embellished it a bit. And just after a few auditions, said, look, you'll be in the movie. No matter what, I don't know how big the part would be, but we really would want you to be in it. And that was that. And the film was low budget. It was shot, over a 10-day period in LA, and the next thing it came out a year later, and nobody could have foretell what that film was going to do. It was extraordinary. Yeah. So, again, just another lucky break and extraordinary time. It was wonderful. They were great people to work with.
You must be a very lucky girl, bro. I'm telling you. I'm going to talk to you now about Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Now you're talking Quentin Tarantino, and in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, that's unbelievable. And you played
the first dairy woman in space.
I think you're still the only dairy woman in space.
First dairy woman in space. Killed in page 9. But no, again, that was happening in London, and I phoned up my agent and said, they're doing Star Wars up in Walthamstow, and she said yes. I said, she's had a love a part in that. And she basically rang up the casting agent and said, Bronagh would love to know if there's any wee parts going. And I wanted the big name or any way that they would, I would benefit them being in their film, but they basically just said, I sent her up, and I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do Stormtrooper, I'll do an Ewok, I was in there. And again, it just sort of stuck me into that wee part, so that was great crack. I know, hilarious. The biggest of the wee tiniest parts in the biggest films.
Hey, listen, it doesn't matter what the part is. The fact that you're actually playing in major productions is fantastic. You know, here, tell me what you thought of the, the movie we did, which was the Shooting for Socrates. That was about the 1986 World Cup.
Yes, indeed. I thought it was great, you know. We made a great time. You know, I think it was that really severe winter, though. I think we ended up having to jump ship kind of quicker. But I mean, I think it did well, and people really enjoyed it. And I think the boys had a great time. They got to go to Spain for 2 weeks and film all the stuff. I think there was a few security brought in for that, for the partying. But I think it did well in the end. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I went down and met a lot of the directors and the people who were playing in the roles, and I met Aaron McCusker, who was playing me in the movie, and that was quite surreal. But it was good fun, I have to say.
Well, yeah, it was indeed. We had great crack, up in Belfast, and yeah, we I think it was myself and Richard Dahmer. And sure, after that, then Richard just took off completely. He's been working on the most incredible work now. He's been over in Iceland and South Africa recently on another Terry Pratchett book. He's just done so well. But no, it's great. It was great gang of actors, you know.
Well, do you know who stole the show for me? The man that stole the show for me was Conleth Hill. He played Jackie Fullerton.
Oh,
he was brilliant. Brilliant.
He's just the best. He's quality. The thing about Conleth is, whatever film Conleth or TV show that Conleth and theatre, he makes it better. You know, he's one of those actors, you know, whatever he's done, he's just a quality actor. I mean, he was hysterical.
Do you remember we met for Gary Lightbody's birthday party in a pub in Belfast?
Yes.
And we went upstairs, it was all sorted out, right? And I was invited with my wife, and we came along, and I met you, and Bronagh was there, and Jimmy Nesbitt. There was a load of different people.
That's right.
And there was two American guys, and Gary said to me, Jerry, I want you to meet my American friends coming over. And I said to one of the guys, hello, nice to meet you. He says, my name's David, how are you? Nice to meet you. I met the other guy. And he said, I said, oh, you're from America? He says, yeah. He says, I'm in Belfast for the fall. I said, the fall? He said, yeah, I'm staying for the whole of the fall. I said, oh, right. And I said, what do you do? He says, I've rented a house. I said, what do you do? He says, I'm a producer and a director for Game of Thrones. I said,
that's
right.
Do
you remember the two guys? And Gary said, oh, they're my mates from Santa Monica. And he's introduced us to them. It was surreal, these guys. And the Game of Thrones obviously became huge. But
they were just starting it.
Did you know these two guys as well? Or did you meet them for the first time the same as me?
We met them. I think that wasn't that the night that it was the first referendum march for gay rights in Northern Ireland? Did we have a big?
I think it was.
We had a big march, big parade that day, and they were there.
I think it was.
It was the first season they were shooting it, and sure, I had a friend audition for Kit Harington, who played, you know.
Yes,
Jon
remember?
Snow.
Yeah.
Kit and I were doing. We were doing a show in London. In the West End, Warhorse, and he was saying to me, oh, how long will it take me to get to Belfast? I have an audition on Friday. I says, what do you mean? He goes, I have to go over in the morning and come back for the show that night. I said, saying on air, kept the night to go. I said, what are you going for? He goes, oh, it's a kind of medieval thing called Game of Thrones. And I went, oh, that'll never work. That's a terrible name. I literally go, Jesus, that's a desperate name. And little I go, and he went in the morning, come back at the lunchtime, and the next thing, obviously, biggest TV show ever, incredible.
It was.
And they were just over, that's right, setting it up that summer, that's right.
Fantastic stuff. Here, I want to go into your singing though as well, because you've written some songs and you've done albums. And I was talking to my wife about it the other day. And it's, what is it, Precious Soul?
That's right, Precious Soul was the first album. And then I took a break from it for a bit because obviously with the big recession in 2005, I went back to London and focused on the acting work a bit more. And then I came home to Ireland 2012 and made my second album and my third album in 2016. So that's been going, well, I mean, at a nice moderate kind of level, but we're in the sort of thick of our 4th album now, and have a new single coming out in July that I've co-written with Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics.
Very
so
good.
That's all going well, and we're building up brick by brick. Some bands, like our good friend Snow Patrol, you can be going for 45 albums, and you're just constantly trying to get out of the water. And we're just keeping going, Jerry. We love what we do, and have a great group of musicians and engineers that are working with me, and we've great lighting gigs. We're still at a very modest level, but you just keep going. As my granny always say, Jesus loves a trier. So we're just keep going.
Here,
I enjoy it, and
I have to ask you a question, Bronagh. And your singing talents, I can't believe you haven't done a duet with me yet. I don't understand this. Really? Why, how have we not done a duet? Or has nobody wrote a song for us yet?
The night is young, I'll write one then about
Or Madonna. No. Some fantastic crack. And obviously, I've been working a lot with Steve Strange over the last couple of years, and he's a great guy. We love him. You know him. He's a great guy. And
I love him too.
He said to me, "What about Bronagh?" He says, "I'll put Bronagh on to you." I said, "Get her on the show. Get her on." I said, "We'd love to talk to her." But then I'm so glad, because when we looked into your background, we found out all the different movies. You're doing a periodic drama at the moment, or you've just literally done a periodic drama?
That's at Belgravia.
Belgravia.
Building of Belgravia in London. At Belgravia, Julian Fellows, the people that did Downton Abbey, same people. So it just came out there in March, and obviously then the whole lockdown thing happened. So it did well, and good reviews, and great cast and great buzz. So we'll see what happens, if it's going to come back for another series. We don't know, because obviously everything's up in the air at the minute.
Yeah.
And,
big question for you, Bronagh. What's next on the agenda?
Well, we're going to release this new single now, and then we'll have to see what happens with the work-wise. I was about to shoot series 3 of Brassic, which is a new Sky drama that's been on.
Okay.
It's literally on at the moment on Sky. So we just have to wait and see. Everything's on hold, but just cracking away at the music. And I've loved the lockdown, Jerry, in a sense that as long as we found and everybody was okay, I've been able to write away and finish songs and focus on that and stay in the one place. And I love yoga and I love walking, so I've been doing yoga, twice a day, and Pilates and stuff like that. That's my fitness regime, so it's great for the mental health and great for the physical.
Absolutely.
Strength,
and I don't know if you've seen any of my Benny Hill bits I've been doing over the last 6 or 7 days, trying to keep fit and get fit, but it's just to do any sort of exercise. And I was telling you.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Because it raises your serotonin, and it balances out. My daddy and I love talking. My daddy's a great runner. My daddy's been running all his life, and played a bit of football too. But he's always been a brilliant man for the running. And he said, he was listening to a doctor last week saying, obviously people that are depressed and feeling sad or feeling low during this time, or frustrated, nothing will counteract feelings of depression or melancholy like physical exercise.
Well, I've started it off here in the last week. 1, for myself, just to try and lose a bit of weight and get fit, and 2, because my wife has just come back from broken metatarsal and she needs to build up her calf muscle again. So Debbie and I decided, and she's doing a little bit extra every day, not much, but building it up gradually. And I'm doing the same, couple of kilometers, and then we're building it up 2 more. But I have a guy who's been listening to the show and loves the show, came on to me today and said he bought a new pair of trainers on the strength of what I've been doing. 72 years old, and he said, "I've just done 2K." And I said, "Brilliant, well done." So it doesn't matter. You go at your own pace. You just take it nice and steady. You go your own pace, and afterwards the endorphins kick in, and you feel good about it. And that's all it's about. It's about enjoying yourself and having a bit of fun.
You sleep better.
Certainly I felt better after I finished any sort of a training session. It's great that you've done a training session and you feel good. You've done your Pilates and stuff, and afterwards you've contributed and you feel that you've done something good.
Did I get cut off there? Sorry.
It just froze a wee bit. You're okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a froze. That's okay, but we'll.
Do you know what that was? We'll allow that to happen, because you wouldn't believe it. That was Damien Richardson's daughter, Tara Richardson. Is a great friend.
Trying to phone you.
Great friend of Steve's. Aye. Damien Richardson must have heard I was on top.
Listen, I had one of those the other day with John Barnes, exactly the same. I was saying John Barnes trying to phone me, and he's going to be a guest on the show as well. But I've got Johnny Quinn. But
Damien.
yeah, but I'm going to say to you now, our little daughter Mariana's 13, and she wants to be a singer actress. So, and she said, any tips you can give her becoming a singer actress?
Yes. Start writing your own songs and sing every day and practice and focus on your tuning and listen to records that you really love and then try and write your own records because that's where you'll make a life out of it by writing your own records.
Yes. And did you find that easy? Did it come easy to you?
I mean, it's something that I've worked on very hard over the years. You have to put the work in, So, I would be trying every day to work on lyrics and songs and structures. Yeah, so, it's a lot of work. Some people can write songs 2 a day, But
yes.
For me, I just have to work at it every day. Yeah.
Very good. Well, here, I have to thank you very much for coming on the show. We've had a ball, and we'd love to have you back on another time as well. Here.
100%, I'll be on.
Right, before you go, I want you to tell me what's your favourite show you've done. Tell me, of all the movies and the shows you've done, what's your favourite?
What's my favourite? Well, I'd have to say a theatre piece that I did in London called The Street of Crocodiles, which was basically about the survivors. Well, it wasn't about the survivors, but it was about the Holocaust, and it was about a young school teacher that taught kids in Drohobovich in Poland. And it was just an extraordinary piece about injustice, which obviously is a huge part of our lives growing up in the North. And it just touched so many people around the world. Theatre's kind of where my heart is in live performances, but it was working with a company called Theatrical Complicity. That to me was one of the greatest pieces when art can contribute so much to real life and to healing people. So that was one of my favourite pieces of work ever, the Street of Crocodiles.
Very good. Didn't know that one. I'll have to check that one out. Thanks very much, Bronagh. But listen, I have to thank you so much for coming on the show, and we appreciate everything you've done for us.
I'm delighted to have been here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Bronagh.
Cheers, Bronagh. Thank you. From Deborah and Lawrence, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
How good was that? Fantastic stuff.